What's up, guy? What is up, guy? Welcome back to what Josue has to say. If you're new here, I'm Josue, and this is what I have to say. Today's episode is a little taboo because I didn't write a script for it. I usually have an outline, but today we're just balls to the wall, and I invited two lovely ladies to help me out with this. Steph Veloso and Salome Sibonex, returning guest and a new guest. Steph, I actually had to blackmail her into getting on my podcast. I had to threaten her with telling her fans that she got caught eating at a 2-star restaurant.
Don't even joke. Don't even joke.
So what's up, guys?
What's up?
Welcome back and welcome.
Thank you. Thank you for having us.
I'm so excited. This is a big deal because we've been wanting to talk, and I always want to talk on this podcast. So this trifecta, this is some serious shit going on that people don't know yet.
It came together. Actually, in the previous episode we recorded, we talked about how we got introduced through a mutual friend, and that's her.
This is her.
That's her, yeah.
The plot thickens.
As usual, connecting the dots, connecting my favorite people.
I love that. Yeah. You are a very connector person.
Should be in PR.
I should. I
truly.
should. I missed my calling, I guess. I'm having more fun roasting people in places. So.
I mean, I don't blame you.
So speaking on that, tell the viewers and listeners what you do in case anybody doesn't know you, and as well as you. I know you already did that last time, but, you know, just a little brush up.
Let them know.
Yeah, let them know.
Well, I'm still not sure what I do. It started as an accident. Mood.
Yeah, for real.
Who knows?
Serendipity, bro.
Yes, but I obviously run Looking for Steph, my account where I have a lot of fun, where I don't know, I tell people, I educate people about Miami, but I also hope that I make them laugh, and more often than not, I offend a lot of them. So who knows? We're seeing where it goes, but if you need to know anything about Miami, or you need to just get offended about Miami or your place in this town, then come to my page.
Or some really good food options.
Great. I hope great food recommendations. I pride myself on that.
You are the person that I always think to turn to for recommendations. I was in Bimini for like 5 seconds the other day, and if I had more time, I was like, I need to ask her. I know she knows.
Big John's. Big John's, the best place in Bimini. Shout out to Big John's. It burned down. They rebuilt it. Great drinks, great times.
I haven't been to Bimini.
Resilience.
Years.
Yeah. It's changed a little bit. I think once they opened the casino there, it kind of lost a little bit of its charm. You know, I used to just go down the street there, smoking things, and in my flip-flops, sometimes barefoot, and now it's kind of become a little commercial. I don't know. What did you feel?
Girl, I don't even want to talk about my Bimini experience. I feel like I was like in the Truman Show, but like the Caribbean version of it. I was on a Carnival cruise, which please
that
don't
was your first fuck up right there.
I didn't know anything. I've never been on a cruise, and now I'm never gonna get on another one because Carnival cruise has traumatized me. It should be criminal. Yeah. It should be maybe illegal, and I don't believe in making almost anything illegal. But Carnival Cruise,
you gonna cancel them?
They are canceled. Everybody on that boat is canceled.
The food there is like TGK food. Like if you get locked up at TGK for a night, like that's like the type of it's terrible, man.
Really? I am gonna have nightmares. Some of the food that I ate. First of all, like why can't I get a good coffee on the boat? Why can't I get a good coffee?
Yeah,
I'm sorry.
Great, man.
Is it like airplane coffee?
No, worse.
It's worse? Is that possible?
Worse.
It's kind of like the cruise line you go to, like if you're on a budget or you want to party, like you're young and you want to party, like. But if you really want like a nice experience, like go to Royal or
I like
Norwegian.
Virgin just started, and I went to like a preview party for them, and I thought it was pretty spectacular. And it's only adults, like not in a weird way. Just you can't bring kids. They have like a neon basketball court. They have all these like highly rated restaurants. They even have like a tattoo parlar on board.
Get the fuck out. Yeah. So you can get pissed drunk and make a bad mistake in international waters.
That's amazing. Nice. That's the place to do it. Yeah. No. What I saw, I don't want to talk about, so we'll let it go. But I'm not the person to turn to for Bimini recommendations because I'll just say don't because I'm traumatized.
Yikes.
Oh, no.
It's not good. I wrote about it actually on my newsletter. Oh, let me introduce myself. How about that?
Go ahead.
Salome Sibonex, writer, podcaster, speaker, part-time speaker sometimes. I'm speaking at something called LibertyCon coming up next month. Have you heard of that?
No.
It's in Miami.
Sounds interesting.
Oh, we need to go.
What is it about?
Liberty, I guess. I don't know. It's like kind of like a libertarian type of, adjacent convention. So that's interesting. So I'm going to do that, which I love going into like these very libertarian spaces because it's always like older white dudes with businesses.
Exactly
and I'm in there like, what up? And they're like, we love it though.
Amazing.
Yeah, so newsletter, Spiritual Soap on Substack. Podcast is Silver Eye Society, where I talk about art and generally criticize culture. And that's me. And if you check out the latest newsletter, you will understand what the hell is wrong with Carnival Cruise. I went off. Like, dude, I have a picture of a man cutting his toenails on the Carnival Cruise, like out on the boat part where everybody is.
No.
I swear, the things that I saw. The things that I saw.
I used to have a teacher in middle school that would do that in the middle class.
Clip his toenails?
Yes. What was his name? San Miguel, Mr. San Miguel, our math teacher.
You'll
Wait,
never
wait,
forget.
Mr. San Miguel, the math teacher. We got some questions, bro. So hold on. I need to understand this context. Was he wearing like flip-flops?
No.
And just propping his feet up, or would he fully take off the shoe and the sock?
Correct.
During class?
And then he would like prop it up on the trash can, you know, those Miami-Dade public school trash cans, or, like the bins, and then just,
No.
yeah, one by one.
That feels a little bit inappropriate in a way that like
That
you
would give me
call-
trauma.
Yeah, that sounds
We
wrong.
would just make fun of him like the entire time. Too.
Yeah.
I mean, you're middle school, man. That's like that's the worst time to do that type of shit.
I
I
mean,
know, you're just gonna get roasted mercilessly.
For breathing the wrong way, you're gonna get roasted. Like,
wait, I'm still on the feet. I mean, were they manicured after? I mean, what did they look like? Maybe they were very...
I don't fucking know. But you know what? We could segue from this.
I was gonna say that's the
onto what
perfect
you guys
segue.
are saying off camera. They were roasting guys' feet. How guys have disgusting feet. So
Yeah, we need to talk about this, you guys. Gentlemen of all kinds, of all ages, of all races, of all genders, of all whatevers, of all associations, you need to take care of your feet and your hands, okay? I don't care. They don't have to be painted, but at least trim them and get a little buff going, because I don't need those talons in bed scraping and exfoliating on my legs. Like, it's not going down. That's my PSA. That's all I came here to say. I can leave now. Thank you. Goodbye.
well, when it comes to hands, but what if he's like a handy guy, like he's a mechanic, or has like those like they could be clean, but like it stays, like degreaser up in that bitch like every day type of
Yeah,
thing.
they can be like, I get it. If you're like a manly man and you work and you're a carpenter or something, that's all very hot. That's all very Aiden from Sex and the City. We love that. But you can't have like dirt under your fingernails. Like,
That is true.
That's not going to
pretty-
fly.
that's pretty
No,
gross.
it's not gonna work.
Yeah.
That's not gonna work.
Yeah, just invest in like a, twice a month, a little pedicure mani.
What about like hobbit feet, like really hairy feet?
Can't do it. Can't do it.
No.
Can't do it. I don't care. If I go home with Brad Pitt and he has hobbit feet, it's over.
Oh my gosh.
It's not going down. I'm leaving. I'm sorry.
Poor Brad.
He's crying somewhere.
I mean, I don't know. I hope not.
Have you guys ever had that experience with a guy? Like just like, damn, like this motherfucker's feet.
No, I haven't.
No.
I haven't. No. But I'm pretty my standards are fairly low for feet. So,
What's your thing though? What's your thing that's a complete deal breaker?
okay.
Everybody has like a thing.
Oh,
yeah.
my deal breaker thing?
Something shallow, preferably. Obviously not like intellect or anything.
I don't like a man that's too skinny. I don't like a man that's too
some meat
skinny.
on
He
the
doesn't
bones.
like a
Yeah.
lanky king. Not
I'm
a
not
lanky king. She
into
doesn't like that. No lanky kings. What about short kings?
Look, I've gone short.
Oh, you
I've
have?
Shorter than
tried.
you?
Shorter than
No,
you?
never. I would
Oh.
never. Sorry. That's just don't kill those dreams.
Okay,
but
careful. I'm 5'8", so don't insult me.
No, 5'8". I've gone shorter. I've gone 1 inch taller than me.
That's pretty short.
And
yeah.
that was as short as I'll go. And I probably will not go shorter than that because it didn't work out. So then I just get to write them off as like, look, I gave it a try and it didn't work. So they're all the short kings are canceled.
You know what they
But
say?
did he think it was hot?
Who, him being short?
Because some guys, I feel like some short guys have a fetish for taller women.
Yeah, that
Oh,
is
well, I was still
Right?
an inch shorter than him. So, I mean.
And then
think he
heels, would you wear
wasn't.
heels? Or like he was like, no, you can't. Or I don't want you to. No, you can't.
No,
But-
he never told me he didn't want me to. He was pretty like laid back about it.
Okay.
Yeah. So at least there's that.
My cousin's cousin on the in-law side is Dominican
Mm-hmm.
family, and he had a thing that he would say all the time. He was short, he was like 5'5", and he had a fetish for taller women, and he would say all the
See?
time, "A mí me gustan alta, grande, para que me peguen."
Oh my God.
Damn, bro, all right.
You see? That's what I'm talking about. It's out there.
So great.
I'm telling you, there's all
Yeah.
sorts of fetishes out there. I don't know.
100%.
Oh my God.
100%.
So let's move on to the actual topic we had discussed. We actually had one topic we want to talk about, and it's the state of the clown world. When it comes to hypersensitivity, I think all of us, we have some sort of social media presence and we put ourselves out there. And like Steph said, people get offended very easily, and how that can be crucial to the development of society, and I say harmful, and it's bullshit in my opinion. What are you guys' thoughts on the matter? And then we can go around.
I was thinking about this because I think anyone that's slightly well adjusted has begun to notice that people are more offended and more sensitive about an increasingly wide range of things. It doesn't matter. It's music, it's movies, it's the way you phrase something, it's the words you use, it's whether you're taking this outfit that a culture, used first, whatever it is. The circle of things that offend is becoming so much wider to the point that it's everything. It's just how we decide to interpret how your offense is. So yep. I think that it's such a strange problem to me because it's like, when did the people that were least cool start having this much influence that we're actually having to hear from and listen to people that once upon a time we would have been like, this is a nerd. Like the person that gets offended at jokes, that once upon a time was a person you didn't want to hang out with.
A loser.
It was like, oh, that guy. Yeah, exactly.
A fucking loser, yeah.
It's like literally like, oh, that guy is so annoying. He always takes everything sensitive. Like he always gets offended. He doesn't have a good sense of humor. And now it's like, oh no, they're just an activist or something. It's like, no, you can be an activist and still be a loser. Sorry. So to me, it's like an upside down culture where the people who are least good humored, least having a likable personality, least resilient, are somehow the ones that have appointed themselves as who we should be taking cues from and are as analyzing culture. A lot of people also don't make anything. They just sit back and try to shit on everything that other people make.
Just judge constantly, yeah. Mm-hmm. It's like those people that for example, like when the Victoria's Secret show goes on, like it's always like the 300-pound women like eating Cheetos on the couch, talking shit about how look at her how she's walking.
It's like that's unrealistic. Like girl, you unrealistic.
Or the Olympics, like guys judging. Look at that fucking loser. He can barely run, and he's like out running like a zebra or some shit.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? Like
100%. It's like people armchair critics type of thing. I mean, the more that I spend time actually making things and having skin in the game, putting things out there, the less I have a desire to criticize other people. Like 100%, the more time you spend making shit, the less time you're going to be interested in tearing down other people.
Makes a lot of sense, yeah.
Yeah, I agree with that. I think I just don't have the time to be offended by much. I think there's a few elements at play here, right? So I do have a firm belief that a lot of I'm going to say kids because I feel, at least on TikTok, where I see the brunt of it and experience the brunt of it, it's coming from Gen Z. I know it's popular to pile on Gen Z, but I do have to say, I think that the pendulum is swinging so far in the opposite direction. Like in the 60s, we were so hard on people. The boomers were telling everybody, take it on the chin, like don't cry, just get through it, whatever. I mean, this is obviously a generation that had been through like Vietnam War. The elderly generation at that time had been through, the Second World War. So I think that those times created very strong people. It's like that quote, by the way. What is it? It's like tough times create strong people. Strong people create good times create weak people, and weak people create tough times. And then the cycle repeats itself. I think there's some of that.
And we're in the worst part of that cycle,
We're in the worst part of it.
What a time to be alive.
Yeah. What a time to be alive. I do think we're in that part of the cycle. And I'm optimistic, maybe delusionally so, but I think that things will come back around. You have to be to wake up every day. And but I do think that people who sometimes don't have real problems create problems where there are none.
Yes.
And I speak to people who actually are privileged, young trust fund kids who are online crying about, this is a trauma, this is an identity issue. It's like, babe, like you don't know what it is to have to struggle to put food on the table. You don't know what it is to struggle to even have a roof over your head. Like I'm not trying to completely invalidate their problems, but I'm telling you that there should be some perspective, and in the grand scheme of things, I think perspective is what will save you. And I think kind of looking outside of your own bubble and realizing that there are much more serious and grave problems in the world, I think some of that will help kind of balance out some of these crying, shrieking voices.
I honestly think that's why you don't get that same kind of like hypersensitive LA type culture in Miami. Because I think Miami's culture is still too close to actual hardship.
Yes.
And we all basically we're one generation away from people that really struggled.
We know better, yeah.
Really struggled. Like lost family, left family behind, had nothing, left, a failing country. So, to come here and then be like, this word is harming me. Look, perspective.
Yeah. I think I worry very much. I don't have kids yet, but I worry about the kids that I would have because I wouldn't want my child to grow up thinking that a word can dismantle you. You know, I understand there are things with malintent. There are things that people say that are definitely charged, and there are some things that I would never say. But I also think we've gotten to the point where even, you know, an errant look means that somebody's just going to fall apart. It's like Chappelle says, brittle spirit, very brittle spirit.
Imagine raising someone or living in the delusion, or even these like companies and even the government with the ideology of let's raise or move these people towards the thought process of be offended, be weak, you know, be like all that, like instead of wanting them to build up like armor and be tough and adversity creates diamonds. I've been saying on my Instagram, no, just do the opposite of that. Just be offended and fall apart and scream and just like be dependent on something higher than you to protect you. No, bro,
Or
protect
external
yourself.
validation.
Like exactly.
Yeah.
It's ridiculous.
But that's where we get into the sketchy part of this, which is who gets served by that kind of temperament, by that kind of hypersensitive, easily offended, constantly dictated, the internal state dictated by the external world. Who benefits from that? So media, perhaps other people that are in power. If you're this kind of person that you cannot control your internal state and you're going to be offended by words, you're going to get riled up by a headline, and everything affects you to that degree, you're a very easily manipulated person. So whoever it is that is in a position to manipulate likes that. That is the kind of person you want if you want to manipulate people. Someone that flies off the handle over a headline and immediately jumps on any issue that they can use to fly into a rage. I mean, that is the perfect person to manipulate.
They're NPCs, bro. Like they're fucking NPCs. They're not
predictable.
playable characters.
It's a predictable pattern too. It's like you can just see, okay, this is going to be the next thing. This is going to be the reaction to this thing, because that type of person, it becomes their pattern to just seek offense. And I do think that it's exactly what you're talking about in terms of when you don't have like really bad problems, but you're kind of unhappy anyway, because you're an unhappy person.
You look for them.
You look for problems in your surroundings to justify that internal discontent. Because now it's like, oh, it's not me, it's that. It's them. So no wonder I'm upset. Look at all these things I found that are upsetting. You know, meanwhile, you have people in depraved situations. Like it sounds cliche, but when I've gone to Cuba, those people are fucking happy. Like happy, they are smiling.
Same thing in Brazil.
Walking around, smiling, joking, laughing. The buildings are crumbling around them, and they're like dragging buckets of water up several flights of stairs to boil it and to drink and to bathe themselves with buckets of water. But they're smiling and laughing.
Because adversity creates diamonds.
Yeah, and
And
perspective.
people shy away from that, right? In perspective.
Yeah.
I think it's a survival mechanism. You try to find beauty in the simplicity. You try to find beauty in the struggle, because honestly, I really do think, how else do you survive? How else do you wake up every day in a situation like that, living in those,
Delusionally optimistic.
Yeah, sometimes you have to be. I mean, it's why I do my comedy. It's why I try to make people laugh, because I think it's very easy to wake up and cry every day. It's very easy to find a reason to be upset, to be depressed, to be all of these things. But if you don't push back, I'm not saying that you can't cry. I'm not saying you can't have vulnerable moments. You can, you should. We're all human. That's natural. You need to have an outlet for that. Hopefully a healthy outlet, But if you think that the answer is to find identity in a movement that is going to continually look for offense to the point where there is none, and create these phantoms, create these ghosts. I mean, I don't know. Life is going to be very hard for you. It's another quote. I'm always quoting people, but what is it? When all you've got is a hammer, everything's a nail.
It's true.
So, imagine a country, because we're living in America. We're all very privileged just to live in America. We're doing a lot better than Cuba. We're doing a lot better than parts of Brazil, where my family's from. God knows, we came and speak to the continent of Africa. I mean, most of the world. I mean, if you can't find some sort of reason to smile just for that, you woke up today, you woke up in America, then I don't know what to tell you.
One of the guests that I had on one of my podcasts, his online thing is Solbra. I don't know if you guys seen him on there. He was tweeting the other day about, he's Australian. Australia's not a bad country, for the most part. And he went like on this little rant on Twitter about how he lives now in the US, how he can't believe how there are people in the U.S. that shit on the U.S. Like, and he's Australian, which is not, he's not from Cuba, he's not from China. Like, you get what I'm saying? He's like, he was like almost offended at the fact that there's people in this country crying about this country. Like, you don't know how good you have it.
Yeah.
And this is somebody coming from a country that's not even that bad in comparison to like,
Yeah.
you know, these third world countries out
Exactly.
there. It's ridiculous.
Yeah.
That's the weirdest thing to me. I mean, and I'll speak to that, the transition, because I was once a person when I was younger that was that kind of like, let me look for offense. I had that psychology. I know what it's like. And very interestingly, when I became a healthier, happier person, I no longer had the desire to find offense in everything. I mean, the change between my desire to find things offensive and me actually having a sense of purpose, confidence, meaning in my life, healthy coping mechanisms for when I did have problems, it was like this one-to-one shift that from there, I immediately dropped that kind of like, I'm looking for offense. The thing is also, the more I studied history and realized, oh, we are living through a pretty good time compared to most
All the
of
shit
the
that has
time.
gone down.
Yeah, and whether it's war or just straight up being a primitive human living without AC in the jungle, look, AC is a great reason to be happy when you wake up.
You know how terrible it is to wake up in a pile of sweat,
Oh,
a pool of sweat.
God.
I just wouldn't
It's
sleep.
terrible.
You know how hard it
You
is to try
can't
to fall
sleep.
asleep in those conditions?
Yeah.
So hard.
You can't sleep, so you're always sleep deprived. So you're always
Yeah.
like cranky and shit. Like, it's like, bruh, AC's the move.
I mean, just fucking be happy about that for a minute. Let yourself enjoy that for a minute. I don't know, man. It's really weird because then also there's a degree to which I think people like that kind of easily offended, seeking offense personality doesn't believe that they deserve happiness. I think that there is a version of that psychology where people don't like themselves
Yeah.
and they choose to be miserable because that's what it is. I mean, if you tell me a joke or something and I have the choice now, be offended or laugh it off or find humor in it or something goes wrong, you know, some annoying thing, let it ruin my day or laugh it off, find the absurdity in it. Well, why would I choose the thing that's going to actually give me a more unpleasant experience?
Sure.
Unless I have this sense that, well, that's what my life is.
You hate yourself. That's what it
Yeah.
is.
Well, I think it goes back to picking your battles, right? And I think that there was a time when people did that, but now it's not picking your battles. It's every point of contention is a point of contention. You turn everything into a battle. And I think it also leaves people exhausted and depleted, which only continues to serve the cycle of just misery. And also, I think a lack of identity, like something you just said really stood out to me when you found meaning.
No awareness.
Yeah.
None.
Yeah. But it's also being lost. I really think it's being lost because I think that when you have a strong foundation, when you really know who you are, I think you can confidently or semi-confidently choose, you know, is this a cause that's worth defending and taking up arms for? Because many things are, to be fair. But, you know, other things are not. I don't know. And I think that, again, we are building a younger generation that doesn't know the difference and that, worse than that, doesn't understand that they're being used as tools of the very oppression that they think that they're speaking out against or fighting
How
against.
dangerous is that?
Very.
It's a scary thing.
It's terrifying.
And meanwhile, you have this crazy wild card that you add into that situation, which is social media. So it's like, I genuinely believe that there is a kind of culture that's online.
Sure.
It's a culture that exists online.
Only online.
Yeah, where it actually serves you to be a miserable person.
Yeah.
There, it actually serves you to try to nitpick everything.
It's rewarded.
It's
rewarded to virtue
rewarded.
signal. It's the meta culture of the metaverse.
Yeah,
You know?
and it's a shitty one.
Yeah.
It sucks. I mean, and that's why for so many people, you have to be really conscious about how you curate your online experience because you get sucked into this thing where you're just reading miserable people's complaints all day.
Well, it's the echo chamber, right? It's the echo chamber you create. And that is a problem, you know, not to digress from the main point here, but I have a big problem with the way that a lot of these algorithms work because, of course, they're made to keep you scrolling, whether it's TikTok, Instagram, what have you. They want to keep you there as long as they can because that's what the advertisers want. They end up selling you something. And what happens is they keep feeding you or boomeranging you more of what they know that you like, more of they know what you look at, more of the same. So if you are extremely conservative or you are extremely liberal, then they're going to tend to, you know, feed you more of that, even on Twitter. And so you end up in this echo chamber where it's now confirming your perceived
biases.
reality, and your biases are being formed by what you are choosing to consume all day long. And that creates a very, very dangerous culture. So
Yeah, you live in a bubble.
Social media is definitely a double-edged sword.
Sure.
Yeah.
It brings forth so many good opportunities and knowledge and all these things, but that's the dark side of it.
Yeah.
Everything has a light and a dark. And
well, there's a price for everything. It's given us a lot, but it's also cost us a
Taken
lot.
it, yeah.
And
Yeah.
I think that we are it's almost like the Wild West all over again. We're on this new
Yes.
frontier of the web, or Web 3, I guess now, because that's now where we're at, where we really don't know how to police this. And I don't think anybody has the answers. Certainly
brand
I
new.
don't.
We're adapting.
It's brand new. We're adapting, but it's literally, it's like, I think we're starting with the little sheriffs in their little towns, right? And some of the sheriffs, as you say, are maybe less qualified than others, right? Because that's what we're getting, internet sheriffs. And who knows what that's going to look like. I'm very interested to see in the next 10, 15, 20, 30 years in our lifetime how that will be policed, and where the balance will be struck between censorship and, just in good faith policing of what's being put out there.
I just did a little skit this week, which was like a Cuban boomer versus a Cuban zoomer.
Oh, I saw it. It's so good.
Thanks. And a bit of it, I wrote when the zoomer freaks out. Sorry, when the zoomer freaks out, I put freaks out in liberal.
Yeah.
They took away my monetization. For
I saw
That's
that.
wild.
Yeah.
That's wild.
They,
That's such an overstep.
Yeah.
I made I think
it's
you saw
it's
it before
comedy,
they
man.
before they yanked it, my
Exactly.
Nancy Pelosi joke. And it was
Yes.
like a burning plane, and it was her trying to get out of Taiwan.
Because
so
of the
funny.
sound, right?
And I
Or some
monetized it in the
bullshit.
sound, and then they came up with some bobo
Bullshit,
ass
yeah.
excuse saying that the sound wasn't licensed for use in the US. And I said, well, listen, first of all, the onus is on you because I took the sound out of your publicly
Yeah.
available library that you have made available to me. And second of all, I'd use the same exact clip, the same exact sound, because I tend to bookmark them if I like the sounds and I want to
keep 'em.
reuse them and keep them. I'd used it months earlier making like a sugar baby joke, and that was fine. But when I made a Pelosi joke, it just, within 5 minutes.
Well.
Yeah,
Look at
gee,
that.
I wonder what happened there.
Interesting.
Bro, these conspiracy theorists, they're all thriving, living their best lives.
They are.
They've been
Having their
they've
moment
been
in the
saying
sun,
all
yeah.
these things, and no one's like, bro, it's so crazy. Like social media isn't, bro,
Yeah.
like all these things are just like, oh, maybe they were right about that and that and that.
The time between something being a conspiracy
Yeah,
and
it's like 6 months, yeah.
it's shrinking to the
Yeah.
point that it's a lucrative business now to be in the conspiracy world because just wait a little bit.
But then that makes it dangerous too, because you could just be out here saying just about anything and people will believe it. Because it's like, well, if that was true and that was true, then this must be true too.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
it's like you got to be really discerning.
Then we go back to that Wild West thing again, which is like, I honestly think, the thing is, like we said, social media is a very double-edged sword, but with anything that's really powerful and comes with a lot of benefit, you're going to have that equally powerful and negative effect potentially. And so something like that, I mean, I think that it's going to, for some people, they ain't gonna make it. Like
No,
they
everyone's
ain't
not
gonna
going to
make
make it. This
No.
isn't for everybody. Let me tell
Exactly.
you.
True.
They ain't gonna make it. They're gonna go down the rabbit hole and they ain't ever gonna come back out. So sorry, casualties
Well,
are
there's
gonna
always-
happen.
Exactly. The collateral damage is always there.
Exactly. But for other people, they're gonna learn that discernment. And it's actually gonna become a very interesting and valuable skill that we need in this time to immediately say, let me see where that could be wrong. Instead of saying like, oh, that's what I want to be true. Okay, so it's going to be true.
Yeah.
Just taking things in immediately. I mean, you can see headlines, news, whatever. I've learned from a pretty young age, I was always very discerning about things. I think it's because I studied psychology. And so when you are orchestrating an experiment, you have to think of all these different things of like confounding variables. So it's like, oh, I have an experiment where I'm trying to study why this happened. It looks like this caused it, but there could be a confounding variable, which is like something I didn't measure that's actually creating the outcome.
Influencing, yeah.
Exactly. And so that kind of education teaches you to look for things that might be leading to an outcome that are not mentioned. So when I see a headline that says, oh, such and such a thing is happening, is doing this, I'm like, maybe.
Yeah.
What else could it be? What else could be leading to that?
That's such a
what
good
was left
tool and
out?
mentality to have,
Yeah,
yeah.
And I think that that's going to be something we just have to develop, and it becomes a more for those that can develop it, it'll strengthen, and for those that don't, they're going to be looking like fools eventually because it's going to be like, oh, that's Bobby. His brain is burned out on Twitter.
Well, he didn't adapt. He got left behind. Yeah. Yeah. They're
Exactly.
going to be fried. I feel like we're living in like, you know what this era is?
Darwinism, man.
It's
Yeah,
Darwinism. You just took that term out, like the word out of my mouth. And I was also going to say, I feel like we're in like the Oregon Trail moment of this. You know what I mean? Remember? Dysentery.
Yes.
Some people are going to die of dysentery.
We're just leaving them behind.
Some people were leaving them
put
behind.
Them in the back, let them rest in peace.
It's
and
just
keep moving.
It's watching that whole a journey across the country. Except now it's happening online. So this is literally metaverse. 2022 version of the Oregon Trail.
Because that's what happens to the weak and the sensitive.
Yeah.
You die.
We leave them behind.
I mean,
I've actually thought about it in terms of Upton Sinclair's The Jungle. Do you know like that time when we were first having factories and people were just like losing arms?
Losing arms,
like,
yeah.
It's just like they were just getting annihilated by these machines that now we have all these safeties for. And it's like, okay, we've made them safer. We know that this is dangerous. Don't work for 20 hours straight. You're going to fall into the machine. Like we figured it out. There's a bunch of people online right now that have lost their arms, have lost their legs. They've been working
everything
on Twitter for 24 hours straight. They need to take a break and they're not. We're going to find out like in a decade, oh, that's really bad for you.
Don't do that.
Yeah, exactly. So if you don't have the discernment to say, let me treat this a little more carefully. Let me pay attention to whether when I take in a piece of news, I'm immediately like, yes, and just incorporate it immediately and let this affect and influence me. Well, if you don't have that capability, you're not going to make it down the trail.
That's what I was talking to somebody about the other day, that we're living in times where there's so much newness and things that we don't know, that and everywhere in social media and foods and all these things, it's modern world, things that we don't know, that we're going to look back on in 20, 30 years and be like, can you believe we used to do that? Like the way that like women would chain smoke cigarettes in the 50s and be like, oh, she's
They were
fine.
drinking while they were pregnant.
Yeah. It's like nobody batted an eye. And now we
Yeah.
look back and we're like, damn, they were crazy as fuck back then. Same shit we're going to be doing in 40, 50 years. Like, can you imagine how stupid we were back then? Like,
I think about that with Twitter a lot. I for sure think people are going to be like, wow, I can't believe I let my child spend all day on Twitter or all day on Instagram or whatever. And just us too. I mean, thinking, hey, what an insane idea it was to create a world connecting social media platform and just put all these people in the same room and let them yell at each other, but only give them 2 sentences.
It's crazy.
Yeah, that sounds fine. Sure.
It's crazy. I think we're in a point where we have, I love to be, over-informed even, like you. I always grew up with that sense of critical thought. My parents raised me to be very balanced. I don't identify as anything, but if anything, I would consider myself a centrist because I try to be as balanced as I can.
It's important to
It's important to be, informed on both sides. And to have that sense of critical thought. Shout out to Miss Dixon if you're out there. My speech and debate teacher in middle school. She's great. She taught us to do that. But I think that with that, we have to, exercise a little bit of caution to your point. I mean, we are having all of the information thrown at us all the time. We have the tinfoil wearers. We have the conservatives. We have the liberals. We have the crazies. We have the people that are just what happened with the vaccine, anti-vax, for the vax. Some were in the middle of the vax. We're not really sure about the vax. Now there's a new vax. Now there's the monkeypox. You guys, it's like we need to have a moment where we take a breath, log off, put the
all
phone
of us
up.
at the same time, just collectively log off.
Yeah, log off. I think there should be like a great reset.
Log off day. Yeah.
I think
Like
somebody
an
needs to
Earth
have
Day?
a
Like an
big
Earth Day,
Earth Day,
but
but they need to unplug all of our internet
Offline
access
day.
and social media access for just 24 hours. I think it's going to be like really similar to what happened. Remember in COVID when we were all locked up and they were showing pictures from the satellites of like how the ocean looked super clean. There was no smog and everything. The Earth was healing. They were like, oh, this is the first time we've seen dolphins in the bay of whatever, like in in Italy, like the canals, because there were no gondolas going down. You could see through the bottom. We need that, but we need that with like the internet and social media. Just 24 hours, maybe 48. It would be great.
You know what I stopped doing, and it's been a fucking. It's crazy how like you're lost in your day to day and you don't notice these things. So I used to wake up, and you guys are probably like, "Oh, this dumbass didn't realize that," but I didn't. I used to wake up and then immediately look at my phone. Obviously, like you set the alarm, and then you just start scrolling.
Yeah.
I would have like terrible mornings. I mean, I'm not a morning person to begin with. I still have terrible mornings, but less of a terrible.
Worse, yeah.
It fucks with you, man. All that bombardment of information just as soon as you open your eyes, and then like the notifications and like the DMs and like I love you, I hate you, this, that, blah, 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 and then like something blew up over here and this over there, and it's like it's the worst way to fuck. Like the first, your brain is warming up.
Yeah.
You feed it all that shit. It's like overload. I don't look at my phone for like the first hour. And then just, go outside, do the whole Huberman thing with the light, the sun.
Andrew, baby.
Love you, Andrew.
Call me Andrew, call me boo. I don't know what your deal is, but call me boo.
Yo, and like my mornings are so much better. I can't I can't think about doing that ever again. Like it's terrible.
So question for you, because I feel this and I'm very guilty of what you're saying. I try very hard. I try to, follow my Huberman rules, get my sunshine, with a naked eye early in the morning. But for not more than 10 minutes because, sun damage. Sorry. This is where you and I disagree on the sunning, right? But my question for you is, do you find that your focus is now more scattered? Do you have a harder time staying focused? Do you have a harder time? Do you feel like you're experiencing a little bit of ADHD as a result of this constant just jumping onto the phone and overloading your brain so early?
It was the opposite. When I was doing that in the morning, I was super scatterbrained. Now that I put the phone down, I don't look at the phone in the morning. I'm more focused.
You are more focused, right?
More intentional, like with my actions, my patterns. Like I get up, I go to the bathroom, then I go
like a human.
Yeah, and I have like my morning little ritual that does not involve the screen.
Sure.
I do things with my hands, like I'll walk to the kitchen, juice my celery, like my little thing, and that sets me up for success throughout the day as best as I can, depending on the mood I'm in that day.
Yeah.
And you know what I mean? As before, I would just like get lost in the algorithm.
I've done this,
and then just be like, where the fuck? My entire day is like
ruins
shot.
You. It ruins your brain. Anytime I have the misfortune of getting stuck on my phone in the morning, I feel like I'm mentally delayed. Like it throws my focus for a loop completely, where when I stop, I'm like, okay, enough, time to get back to a day, put the phone down. I can feel the resistance to focus.
Yeah.
Like I can feel the difficulty to actually do something that takes longer focus. It is real.
Huberman or Huberman, however you pronounce it, Miami Dade education. He
Andrew Huberman, get it right.
Neither of those.
Future Miss Huberman.
I'm the leader of the fan club. Unofficially.
Yeah, you showed me him. It was you that put me onto him.
Yeah.
He recently made a post about it where he was saying that was completely lost with the phone.
Lost of thought. You see, but this is what I'm talking about. No.
Here we have the example.
Truthfully, I'm very guilty of this, and the reason I'm saying this with all seriousness, I know we're laughing, but maybe we shouldn't. But I'm the same way. I was so much more focused before I was producing my content because now part of my job is I have to stay informed, and I'm scrolling all day and scrolling way more than I need to. Let's be very real.
Always, it's very hard to get off.
And it's very hard to get off. And even imagine, I'm someone who's very hyper aware of those things, but this is a multi-billion-dollar business.
Yeah, they know what they're doing.
They know what they're doing.
I just remembered it was a dopamine hit. Everything. A lot of his topics go back to dopamine hits, and it's you fucking exhaust yourself. Like it's like taking fucking ecstasy, and then you just like exhaust your brain of fucking like.
Go to work now.
Yeah,
like, that sucks.
If you look back, it's an addiction. So you want that dopamine hit, and then nothing else
compares
because like I don't want to fucking juice celery.
You know
how
what
boring that shit is. I want to fucking laugh or like get like high off of this.
I want to look at something new and shiny every 3 seconds.
Right.
Yeah. How am I supposed to write a paper that takes me an hour or whatever?
That's not fun.
Yeah, forget that.
Zero dopamine there. Like
I saw some, like I was reading some study. I don't think maybe it was Huberman, maybe it wasn't. I honestly can't remember, but somebody was posting the results of a study which was relating to, I believe it was just men. It might've been men and women. So don't quote me on this, but I definitely know that the results were that people that were watching an excessive amount of pornography were later having a hard time performing.
Yes.
They were having a harder time coming to orgasm. But why? It's because we are basically, I think short wiring the circuit by just consuming, and you get so sucked into it and you get so overstimulated that when it comes time to sleep with your partner or whoever, or your
boring.
Fuck buddy, whoever you're with, I don't know. You can't. You're having a hard time focusing. Men are having a hard time keeping it up. Yeah. Women can't orgasm, and it's all because it's the overconsumption. And it's the same thing to your point about the dopamine hit that you look for on social media, which then feeds into the circle of a bunch of Gen Zers that already think that they're being traumatized, but then you get into the actual science behind it where it's like, well, you kind of are being traumatized and you kind of are experiencing depression at younger ages because you're so used to getting your validation from this and the hit and sometimes even the hate.
Yeah,
because there's a tie into like sometimes you just want to watch a horrible thing or you want to feel a horrible thing happening or someone saying something horrible to you or leaving you a mean comment that now you can't function in the real
Bro, what the fuck is going to happen when these people are like 30, 40 years old?
Oh, Lord, please.
Hopefully we'll be up by then.
I don't know. No. I'm going to be around because my grandma made it to almost 101. So unfortunately, I think I'm going to be, I have a long sentence ahead of me.
Damn.
Yeah.
An earth sentence?
Yeah. Long sentence. Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Well, let us know how that goes.
I will. Yeah. I'll probably beam it into the afterlife. You guys will be somewhere between heaven and Mars, apparently, I think by that time, right? Something like that. Elon will be there, I'm sure. Whatever. I'm not sure. I mean.
Oh, Lord. Yeah, it's bleak.
Yeah.
it's bleak. I don't know, but I want to be optimistic.
Yeah.
Hey,
Yes.
I'm going to be
Yes.
optimistic because, like we said, if you don't make it down the Oregon Trail, rest in peace. I'm sorry. We would like you here with us.
Look at all the people that did make it.
Exactly.
Yeah.
We are the descendants of the people that made it. So I intend to keep making it. I mean, that's the thing. It's like we have the information. You know, what can you do? You can't just become a victim of circumstance and of your environment. I mean, when you know that looking at your phone in the morning fucks with you, then don't do it.
And don't do it.
Then don't do it. Like you have to find, and if you keep failing, then figure out why you're failing.
Yeah.
And then do something about
Ask
that.
yourself why.
Don't just be a
Really
fucking
take it
hamster on a
seriously.
wheel. Just
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
mindless, like, I don't know what to do. Everything's your fault.
And
Everything
that's the
is
best
literally your fault. That's the best
situation.
thing.
That's the best outcome because then you can fix it.
Exactly. It's in your control.
I think
Yeah.
when you own you're not to sound all woo woo, but when you own your power, because that's what
Yes.
that means to me. And when you accept responsibility, obviously not for everything, right? Like horrible things happen and
Yeah.
they're not actually
Right,
all your
right,
fault.
right.
But when you look at, you know, the grander picture and you say, okay, there's a couple things that happened to me that were very, very terrible. God knows the horrible things that
Mm-hmm.
happen every day. We deal with deaths, assaults, like murder, wars, whatever. Okay. And then you look at the stuff that is, I think you're going to find that the basket of things that are your responsibility, let's say, is way larger. And the good news about that is that's the basket that you can control. Those are the
Yes.
the things that you can choose to not just be delusionally optimistic like I like to be, but you can take actionable steps to make things better for yourself if you realize just how much control you have over the day-to-day, right? Like you can go into your job that you hate every day and you can be miserable. But you can also look at that and say, hey, you know what though? I'm earning a wage. It's keeping a roof over my head. It's keeping food on the table. I mean, maybe not now, considering how Miami's doing right now.
keeping some
Sorry,
food on the table, a
but in
little
other
less,
places,
but-
in other places besides overpriced Miami, you know what I mean. But you have to choose to maybe try and find the best version of that, right? Like, yes, we're in overpriced Miami, but at least we don't have snow. You know, I don't know. Find a reason. Find the smallest reasons, at risk of me sounding woo woo and kumbaya, and just try to have that be the little beacon of hope or the little spark of light that gets you through
But it's true.
whatever you're going through.
It's up to you.
Yeah.
No one else is gonna give you a spark of light. You gotta. Give
No
yourself
one's
that
gonna
shit.
do it. Help is not on the way. My yoga teacher training I did, one of my teachers used to, both of them used to always say that. They used to say, help is not on the way. Figure it out
There we
yourself.
I love that though.
Yeah.
That is to me so empowering. Like that's
It's true.
actually empowering because
Yeah.
it's like, oh, okay, it is on me. All right, let's get to work.
Yeah.
You know?
That reminds me of Mrs. Doubtfire. Help is on the way,
Help
dear.
is on the
Help
way.
is on the way.
Yeah.
But it's not.
But it's
Mrs.
not.
Doubtfire ain't coming, boo.
Yeah.
She's not coming to save you. You know, she's not. I mean, I wish we all had one, but we don't have
Right.
one in real life. So, you know,
Save yourself.
yeah. Save yourself. Hope that you find a good circle of friends. I mean, like this circle I think we formed here of people who are a little bit like-minded. And then
Yeah.
also on the opposite of that, I like to purposely find a circle that is not like-minded.
Challenges you, yeah.
And challenges you, because that's the only way you grow. If you're not learning something new every day, then the hell are you doing? Stay in bed.
Yeah, yeah,
To hell with it.
There's a lot of people like that.
Yeah.
yeah.
I wonder how many people are gonna choose to stay in bed and put on the metaverse. on
A
your
lot.
head and just
Let
like,
them go.
A lot.
Let them go.
dysentery.
I'm gonna be
If they
out
want
here
us to
thriving
come
in
to
the real
dysentery,
world.
if they want
Y'all
us to
can
come to
have the metaverse.
typhoid, what else was happening? Snake bites. What was the other things? Well, no. Actually,
Typhoid or whatever. I don't
the
even-
number one thing that was actually killing people, I read this, okay? I got into this series called 1883. It's like a prequel for Yellowstone.
I've
Obsessed,
heard
beautifully
about it,
shot, so well acted. Sam Elliott, oh my God, the girl that plays the main character. And I was reading something because I went down the rabbit hole, and somebody said that the number one cause of death was actually injuries from the wagon. They were like getting run
Get
over by the
out.
wheels, like maybe they would get stuck, they would try to push it. It was actually injuries relating to that.
That's terrible. That's so much more depressing somehow than the actual
People were getting
diseases.
run over by their own vehicles.
That kind of makes sense.
Think about that.
Because it's what we said, it's the newness of it all.
Yeah.
You don't
Yeah.
know, you don't have safety measures, you don't
Exact-
know what you
that's
don't know, and then
exactly
it's
it.
like, oops, I fucked
get
up.
run over by the
and
wagon.
yeah.
Oh my God.
the vehicle you're using to travel ran you over.
Once again, another thing
metaphor
that we
for
can
that.
be grateful for
Yeah.
that we're
It's
not
true.
getting run over by our own wagons.
Yeah.
I mean, Jesus.
No, we're getting locked in our own electric cars.
Yo, that's scary. I've been thinking, so that's
Did you
another
see
thing.
that?
I
That
used- I
ordinance
used
in
to be-
California that's about to pass?
What?
the power
the
thing.
electric car
Yeah.
one?
Yeah, that after, what is it?
2023?
2020?
No,
I
that
thought it was
can't be.
2025.
2035.
35.
I'm sorry, is it 2035?
Yeah.
Okay, we're going to
Yeah, okay.
certify this so we don't sound
Yeah, I have
uninformed on
time
the
to
air.
leave.
Yeah, but you'll no longer be able to buy
Gas.
gas-powered vehicles.
Which is scary because,
luck.
again, and it's not to sound conspiracy theory-ish, because at one point I loved Tesla, and
Mm-hmm.
I still think it's super cool. But the idea of an electric car is it's more dependent on
Mm-hmm.
larger things, like we said, than a gas vehicle. You know what I mean? If look what happened with Texas. You know what I mean? That snowstorm thing that
put out
like
the power
everything
grid.
was like, how do you charge your car? How do
People
you
don't
get
understand that movement is a really intrinsically human thing. Like the ability to be able to change where you live, to move, that to me always really triggers a weird kind of like alert, red flag when anyone tries to make some type of law or changes something that makes it more difficult for you to move.
To mobilize, yeah.
Because it's like, really think about what that is. You can't choose to go somewhere. And you're supposed to be free. You're not in prison. You're supposed to be able to go wherever you want in the world, right? As long as you're not a criminal or doing crimes. But if you have these kind of like systems or changes that are limiting your mobility as a free person, how free are you? I mean, it's like you're having this fence kind of erected around you that's shrinking.
It's the illusion of freedom.
Yes. Yeah. That's very scary. I don't like that dependent. I mean, I'm ready to get in the cabin and go to the mountains. Peace out.
But
Like, I'm not into it
about
all.
all that is that a lot of these ideas, like Tesla, for example, or an electric car, it comes from a noble and good-hearted idea, you know, evolving forward, the environment, all these things. But then it could be used against you.
Well,
you know what I mean?
The road to hell is paved with good intentions, right? So we start in a good place. I don't think most people start out thinking, I want to do something that's detrimental to society or to my cause. I think sadly and ironically, most of the horrors of our world have been committed by people who thought that they were doing, certain that they were doing the best possible thing for themselves and for their society. I mean, leaders, politicians,
communism,
communism, what Hitler did. I mean, it's some of the greatest atrocities of our world have been, spearheaded by people who really, really were convinced that they were doing what's best. And that's where the danger lies,
Yeah. That's why that's not enough. It's not enough to use good intentions as, well, this is the reason. This is the justification. It's like, well, let's actually look great. I love your great intentions. That's so great. Now let's look at all the possible ramifications that you are not considering despite your best intentions. Yeah. That's what I see lacking a lot of the times. It's like, well, we're trying to do good. Love that. Great. But let's look at all the potentially negative outcomes that you're not considering.
Then that's when people say, oh, you're a conspiracy theorist. That'll never happen. Like, why do you think?
Yeah. And then we see how that plays out.
Yeah, it's like, oh, I guess we had it wrong.
Yeah. Oh, you actually do have a vax passport after all.
It's an interesting time, that we're in. I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know, man. All of us.
What do you guys think over there?
Strange.
Yeah, strange times.
Okay, you guys, last thing we need to talk about today. I'm sorry to derail this group chat we got going because we're having fun. We need to talk about all these New Yorkers, Chicagoers, LAers, all running back home with their tail between their legs because, as I read in an article this weekend, they are Miami'd out.
Amazing. Beautiful.
Amazing. I mean, that was inevitable.
Chef's kiss.
Yeah.
I love it.
So what is Miami'd out? I'd love to know.
If you can't stand the heat, get out of Miami.
Get out of Miami. Listen, everyone ain't built for this life, boo-boo.
Absolutely.
Everyone is not built for this life, much like the Oregon Trail. Not everyone's going to make it in Miami. So I don't know. Maybe the cafecito's too strong for these Starbucks sippers.
It was a cultural thing, mostly, I think, right? And it makes sense because the culture, at least from New York, it's a very different culture than Miami. It isn't like night and day. And I think the article said it was like the Spanish speaking and like the traffic, and it was like a lot of like
which I don't even get.
I'm so shocked that Miami would have a lot of Spanish speaking and traffic. What? Oh no.
I don't know.
Let me see if I can look it up.
I know they were complaining about the speed of service, which I get. I mean, listen, we're on tropical time, boo.
Yeah, this is
we're on Cuban time here. This is how we do. You come here to relax, come down, slow down. Like it's just, I think that they weren't ready for that. I know the traffic thing surprises me though because
compared to
the most stressful traffic that I've ever been in has always been in New York City. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So, or the really PCH, a few years ago. I mean, I haven't been to LA in a while, but
yeah, Miami isn't as bad as LA.
Well, babe, we're not getting robbed in the middle of Beverly Hills.
How about that?
Yeah. How about that? Exactly. Because let me tell you, I mean, granted, people aren't crazy enough to do that in Miami because here you will get shot. You will get shot.
Yeah.
You'll get shot for less.
Exactly.
Yeah, but a friend of a friend actually recently got robbed. My friend was telling me that his friend, I guess, came home, parked on his street. He has a very nice car. So these people obviously had been following him. They've been casing him God knows how long. So he gets out of the car. He sees the car like come to a screeching halt. Some people get out. He's like, okay, well, they're going to try to rob me. What am I going to do? So he's like, at least they're not going to get my watch. And he took his watch off and he threw it over, I guess, the neighbor's like the fence or whatever. He's like, I'll get it later. And I think they still took him for like his wallet or something like that. But, you know, I mean, when this is happening in Beverly Hills, then a very, very upmarket store, I mean, I'm not going to say the name, but I love them. They have an outpost in Malibu. A bunch of people just stormed the door and took, like, I think it was somewhere in the neighborhood of like $300,000 to $500,000 worth of merchandise. This is happening in Malibu.
Crazy, man.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
There was some Illinois, I think it was Illinois, just passed some crazy ass shit like that where they decriminalized. Let me see if I find it. Yeah.
Decriminalize what? Petty theft?
And a little more than that. Hold on. It was.
That's wild. I mean, I don't know what you can expect.
Yeah.
You know, that's the thing. It's like you're making crime legal.
Yeah.
You want to get some crime then.
Yeah.
I mean you're
almost
anymore,
encouraging it at that point.
Yeah,
you know?
exactly.
I think that there are some things that should be decriminalized. You know, for one, I think we need to fully legalize marijuana and call it a day. I mean, that's my personal opinion. But some of these other crimes, I'm sorry, like you can't.
Stealing is always going to be a
stealing.
crime.
Burglary will always be burglary.
Exactly, dude.
Yeah.
I mean, you learn that in kindergarten, not to take
what's not yours.
Stuff.
Sure. Yeah. No, it's crazy. It's crazy. But while you look that up, another thing, and this is kind of another thought process under that, is how, I don't know if you guys have seen, Vice did a little segment on how people are getting robbed, influencers specifically, because they're making it way too easy
to
be found.
Find their location and stuff.
And they did this really wonderful, I mean, I shouldn't say wonderful. I mean, I think it was very interesting. It wasn't wonderful. Sorry. Bad choice of words. I'm a little scatterbrained right now, but they did a really interesting piece on how these people are being cased and, you know, or they're like waiting till they know you're not home because you're posting from an event and they're robbing them.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
Wow.
All because of social media.
Easy.
I remember we talked about that and I brought up that in probably like 4 years ago. I don't know, Twitter. It was going viral that the people that were verified on Twitter, and lived in Cali, they started putting blue check marks on their homes.
You're joking.
What?
Yes.
So you're literally leaving up a neon sign,
like,
a billboard, a flag that says rob me.
And then somebody made the joke and they retweeted it and quoted on top, some shit like that, like thanks for letting us know which house to rob first, or some shit like that.
Oh my God.
Look, so I found the Illinois stuff. First. Illinois non-detainable offenses beginning January 1st, 2023. Aggravated battery, aggravated DUI, aggravated fleeing, arson, burglary, drug-induced homicide, intimidation, kidnapping, robbery, second-degree murder, and threatening a public official.
Wait, what is the source for this? This is like a legal release? Like, no,
yes,
what?
Like they made it was
so
a video.
Crime is legal.
Wait, did you just say second-degree murder?
And kidnapping?
Second-degree murder. Yeah,
second-degree murder? Are you kidding me?
Okay, so I am.
So
not
it's the purge.
Going
it's
to
the purge.
Illinois.
We're living in the purge.
That's what people are liking it to. Yeah.
Okay. All right. Got it. Understood. At least we're in Florida.
Not going to Chicago anytime soon.
No.
I mean, so here's how my brain works. I'm like, okay, why would you do that? Why would you do that? That makes no sense. So we can just kind of be like, okay, that's crazy. I don't like it. This is foolishness. Or is it?
What's the motive?
Because then the other thing is like, well, what's the next step? This is the way like conspiracy theorists think, but they don't, you know, the bad conspiracy theorists, they don't connect it to actual facts and logic. Mm-hmm. So then it's just like, you just come up with some random theory. Right. Okay, that's a conspiracy. But if you actually try to think a few steps ahead and say, okay, this place is making crime legal. That's going to lead to an increase in crime. Mm-hmm. What happens then? So then we have an increase in crime. Then you have a population that is desperate for having more police presence, for having what? A government to
more regulation.
Rescue them.
Yeah.
And so then the government becomes incredibly relevant because please save us. This is crazy, this horrible, all the crime that you made legal. Please save us from it. So that's how I think. I'm like, well, where does this go? What's the next step? Because otherwise we just sit here and we're like, well, they've lost their minds, which is potentially a reason.
True.
It's potentially true. They could just be crazy and stupid. or
There's a more nefarious reason behind it. There's always a more nefarious reason.
and it doesn't have to be intentional, right?
Yeah.
It can just be there's cycles that play out in systems and societies
Sometimes
throughout
things end up
history.
that way, yeah.
Sometimes things like there's patterns that we somehow play out for some reason, and it could be that like this well-intentioned. We don't want to put people in jail because the bonds are too expensive.
Second-degree
or what-
murder.
That's the thing. Is like,
No, second-degree murder is sent me. That was it for me.
arson, man.
Arson also, I mean.
yeah, who
Like,
does
yo,
an
you know what?
accidental
My
arson or
aggravated
something?
battery.
Fuck that bitch. I'm gonna
Yeah.
go burn her house down, and I can do anything about
Yeah,
it.
and I get to stay out
Aggravated
here.
battery
Yeah.
is like, that's insane.
Come on. That's too much to me.
Damn, we want to end it in a in a
Sorry, so
positive
much for
note.
ending on a positive note, guys. Sorry.
Well, you know what? This is a good lesson. So don't depend on us to give you positivity. Give yourself positivity.
There you go. Save yourself.
That's came full circle.
Rely on yourself.
Rely
Stop
on
looking for that
yourself.
external
Exactly.
validation and that
There you
dopamine.
go. Beautiful way to end. Ladies, thank you so much for coming.
Thank you
Appreciate
for having us.
Excellent conversation, as expected.
Yeah. Now let's go get some good food. I got some places
I
in
know
mind.
you do.
Gotta get that grub. Steph and Salome, give your little outro on where to follow, stuff like that. You, like plug in your plugs.
Yeah, plug in your plugs. Salome Sibone at every social media platform. It's going to be in the title. I'm not going to spell it out. Just my name is all my social media platforms, so use that to find me.
Awesome. And I'm at looking for Steph, and it's with a PH, not an F. That's all you need to know.
There you go. Thank you guys for watching. Please remember to like, subscribe, share, do all the things. And that's all I got. Have yourselves a good day. And as always, no se metan con nadie para que nadie se las meta. Have a good one.